All right, good morning, everybody. Sorry, I'm running a little late today. Give me 1 second. All right, I know we're about to get the open here, so let me quickly go over our trade plan. I believe it is the same as last night. The only difference, I would be raising this 92 to the upper level, the 305. Everything else is the same. You could also use 92 if you want to be a bit more conservative. If it does pull back here, just keep an eye on that 305 and that 92. We are just barely above yesterday's value, trading inside of Tuesday's value, trying to repair that incomplete auction going up to 325. The only difference there is raising 292 to 305. And honestly, I wouldn't even raise it if you want to be more conservative. I would just leave it at that 92. Okay, taking a look at NASDAQ. Do we need to raise that level? Let's see. No, NASDAQ is actually fine. So staying above 108, we're looking for 185, 222. And then to the downside, 063, yesterday's value high, going down to 959, the value low, and then 840, the prior low. You could also target the POC if you want to. So no change in NQ. Keep it on VWAP here. VWAP being tested right after the open at 303 and 095. Volume's a bit quiet. Let me double check my mic. It might have gotten changed. Oh yeah, good call. It did get changed. I don't know why it does that. It's really stupid. Okay, should be better now. Sometimes I log on and my mic is just on half volume. Appreciate you calling that out. One of those computer things where you don't change anything and somehow it gets changed. Here is the trade plan for you guys. VWAP has been lost on NASDAQ. We are still testing it on ES. Keep an eye on those 1-minute trails. 1-minute trail, very bearish on ES and NASDAQ. Put in a bottom pivot and a bull div on VWAP here. Already hit your trail target. So the short-term scalp target would have been that kind of that 24 EMA there, 308. And now we're trying to break that pivot at 304. Losing the 5-minute trail. 30-minute trail holding strong since yesterday. You had 5 buy signals on the overnight and on the, just the overnight in total. If it holds below 300, it has lost that 30-minute trail. Keep an eye on that top doji there, and this point of origin right there. That one is already being retested right on VWAP. 30-minute structure, got a lot of yellow, so a lot of highs being broken, but we also have a lot of lows being broken. But not very decisive here. Yeah, pretty indecisive. We had a nice one time frame downward, and then we had one upward, and now we're back to going down, so very indecisive. Keep an eye on that little cluster that's being retested around 308 to 309. That seems like a key level for this morning range. We did have some data coming out this morning. Let me take a look. Retail sales 0.5 over 0.3. That was the core sales. Regular sales 0.6 over 0.1. Unemployment 221 over 233. Philly Fed is 15.9 over 1.2. So all ratings, or all readings, whatever you want to say, they were better than expected. Much better on retail sales, 0.6 or 0.1. Then we had import prices, 0.1 over 0.3, lower than expected. Adjust the ES delta, what's wrong with it? I don't see anything wrong with it. Good morning, everybody. Moritachi, Patriot, back and Kin, YouTuber Leo, Morris, AT, Techie, 2013, Curtis, Alex, Bobby, It's You, Future, Larry, Adam, C-Mac, Roman, Jose, Roger, Caleb. Good morning, Fernando, Michael, Scott, Lulu, Tamer, Darius, Jeremy, Trevor, QB. Good morning, Jesse, eBay, Keegan, Sebastian, Fatal, JC, Dark, Faraj, Christopher, Max, Bobby. Appreciate you guys all being here. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Martin, Unleashed, Zozyke, Martin, Chuck. Who else is in here? Vu, Tamer. Good morning, Joan, Adam. Good morning, Boat, Crypto, Bilal, Linus, Nexus, and Volume. Appreciate you guys being here. Sorry I'm running a little late today. That bot has got me on my coding grind again. I was up till like 2 a.m. coding yesterday, so didn't sleep too much. This is why I don't code all the time, because when I start coding, it's like a massive hyper focus and I can't stop. No, I don't have a I don't have a formal education in coding, no. Pretty much just self-taught. And nowadays it's a lot easier because the AI basically teaches you. AI has gotten very good at coding. I'm pretty good with PineScript, which is very similar to Python. So I've been doing a lot more coding in Python recently. And the things I'm not good at, the things I don't understand, the AI just helps me it helps me understand it. Or it just literally writes it for me. Yesterday was beautiful. Price action on E. That's exactly what he said, taking all the lows. Yeah. Yeah, that was I mean, you couldn't ask for a better setup on the swing trading aspect. I started posting about this in my my Discord and my friend group chat a couple of days ago. I think it was about like Friday or Monday. And we were looking for those resting lows. And he just went down and tagged all of them, and then look at where it bounced. I mean, you can't make that up. Good morning, Trent. Good morning, Lubo, Jefferson. I believe so, Christopher. Check my shorts. I have a YouTube short on it, I believe. Just type in like afternoon reversal and it should come up. All right, here's that trail on the 1 minute. That 08 level, like I said, it's the morning level to watch. It's not really a big level. It's just kind of the level they're respecting in the morning here. Let me pin the trade plan for you guys. There you go. A lot of delta here on mostly NASDAQ. Big block trade, 440 contracts, and a bunch of smaller orders as well. Very green tape on NQ. Another block trade, 700 contracts. That's huge on NASDAQ. We're going from doji to doji here. Bouncing off the point of origin at 8:30 where that data came out. Look for the point of origin on that high around 16. Bouncing off VWAP as well. VWAP, very good support. At least on ES if you're trading NASDAQ. Not as clean. Look at that delta coming in on NASDAQ. Is that like a big move on Nvidia or something? Let me take a look. Doesn't look like it. Nothing unusual. Here is that top doji. Top doji coming in, so your target has been hit. Keep an eye on that prior high. We'll see if we can break out of that 17 high. This would be an outside bar because you broke the prior low as well. You can see it's a purple candle, meaning it broke the low. A lot of big money coming in here. Two more block trades, 15 and 16. 1,200 contracts. This all started from those pivots. Keep an eye on the Momo there. Momo and OTS gave you a combo on the bottom. Put in a pivot at 04, which turned out to be a bull div. It did hit your trail target and then came back down to the pivot, bounced off of it, and now it's ripping. Same thing on NASDAQ. 1 minute pivot showing you a bull div as well. So 1 minute pivot, flat bottom there. Very obvious bull div. Take a look at YM. Is YM running? Where's my 1 minute? This should be a 1 minute. Yeah, YM's on fire. What about Russell? Russell's on fire as well. Morning, Ronaldo. Looks like that upper doji being absorbed. A lot of bearish delta coming into the literal tick. Sorry, not a lot of bearish delta, a lot of bullish delta being absorbed. There's a decent amount of bearish delta coming in at 15. That 1 minute pinch is topping out here, hitting the upper extreme. So momentum is very high. Keep an eye on this absorption here. You are being absorbed right now because it's not breaking away from this node. That node has become the POC as well. If it keeps holding below 15, it's a little bit dangerous because that spike up was very fast. They didn't really build a significant node in between. Yeah, Joe, the bull div was very nice. Bull div with VWAP confirmation. That was a really good bottoming trade there. This could have been your trade for today. Yeah, it was a, what, 10, little over 10 point trade? It's not bad. I think a very reasonable goal recently, anywhere from like 10 to 20 points, 20 being like the upper goal. Probably not going to achieve that every day, but if you get it, it's nice. But no, I think 10 points, very reasonable. Recently, the market's been given a lot. Not seeing that spike away from this node here. They have a lot of delta coming in. But here you go. Now you're trying to spike away from that. See if that ADMA can push you up. Alright, it's like they were listening to me. I said there wasn't a spike coming in. There you go. Finally coming in. As long as they hold above that 15, they're okay here. They need to hold above that ADMA as well. Here comes our 25 target for the trade plan, and then the bigger target would be 43. Adam, they're pretty much the same thing. You're just looking at them in a different lens. This is delta. Everything you're seeing here basically is delta. Well, not exactly. It factors into delta. It's a component of delta, I guess you would say. A piece of the puzzle. But they're pretty much the same thing. The difference with delta itself is it's combining all of these, right? So this is like the chunks of delta, and then delta is like the combination. Yeah, Joe, think about it like for example, if you took a breakout here, you're a trader above 17, right? It breaks 17, you're a breakout trader, right? Now, the reversal traders, they can still trade this. They're just waiting for a pullback. So if it pulls back into the high and then starts to bounce, they're also a trader at 17. They're just not taking it on the breakout, right? So you can take the same exact trades as breakout traders, like the same area, basically. You're just taking them in a different form, in a different setup. The closest thing to a breakout trade for a reversal trader is a rebound trade. And you might actually see one right here. A rebound is when you have a strong breakout and then it instantly pulls back to retest that high and then bounces away from it. The blue candle? Blue candle. I don't have any blue candles on my NASDAQ chart. Oh, you're talking about my other chart. You're talking about this chart. These are my pivots. The blue candles and the orange candles are the pivots. And then everything else is the Momo and the OTS, the trading suite. Those are indicators that I created for TradingView. Yeah, exactly what Roman said. So like the rebound trader doesn't have the drawdown of that pullback because they waited for that pullback. But the problem is, here's a good example, you don't always get that rebound. So the rebound trader didn't actually get that trade there. Good morning, Yuso Wesley. Good morning, Tom. Tarnation. Yeah, it's basically like you're waiting for the breakout to be potentially trapped. And then you're taking a pullback trade. This is extremely aggressive here. Keep it on the ADMAs. Here's our 25 target being hit. Needs a few more points if you're not front running it. Yeah, Rox, I think incomplete auction is actually in the title. If it's not in the title, it's probably called like a failed rotation or something like that. So either look for incomplete auction or look for failed rotation. There should be a video on that. And I think we're actually finishing that right now. Let me see. So NASDAQ has to go to 185, and yeah, ES is basically finished. So yesterday we started an incomplete auction because we started a retrace that we did not finish. So you started retracing Tuesday, you did not finish it, so whatever was left was an incomplete auction. It's like a single print. It wants to be filled in right away. So it's currently fixing that problem. If they do not fix that problem right away, it becomes a very key turning point for the market structure. So let's pretend this did not happen today, and this started opening up down here and became a little weak. This is a key turning point for the market, for the swing traders, the higher time frame traders. So now they can start putting their stops like up here, and then look for a really big move down. It's the same idea with single prints. If you don't fill in single prints right away, it's the same thing. The single prints would be a key area that market structure is shifting now. So you can put your stop above the single prints and then look for a bigger move down. They're not exactly the same as single prints, but they share a lot of the same trading mentality, I guess you would say. I wouldn't call this a rebound, so this is just a standard pullback. The difference with a rebound and a standard pullback is the rebound should be instant. So right when that breakout happens, it should instantly pull back within that same candle or the next like 1 or 2 candles. If it takes too long and it puts in a new high, it's not a rebound anymore. This would be more of a pullback. The difference is the rebound trades have higher strike rates. And the other difference is with a pullback trade, you're looking for a bigger trade. The rebound trade, you're just scalping it. So if you took a rebound here, let's say it pulled back, it instantly pulled back, you're basically already out of that trade. Because all you're looking for on a rebound is that secondary buy pressure to push the high. But the pullback, you're looking for more than that. The pullback, you're looking for an actual continuation of that trend. The rebound, you don't give a shit about the trend. You're just getting in for a few points and getting out. I said, do I like Addis or Quantower more? I think you can answer that question for yourself. Why'd you pick that candle down at 835? 835. You mean this one right here. That is the point of origin. So what candle was like the point where the momentum started shifting aggressively? It was that candle. So that candle was right before it started aggressively going up. So that's why I picked that candle. Very similar to order blocks. If you know how to trade order blocks, they're almost the same. But not always. So if I were to grab a new one, now that this one has been used in a trade, that was a really good trade around 02 to 05 with that bull div and VWAP and yada yada yada, a lot of things down there. Now that that has been used, if I want to grab a new one, here's another doji. So here's a bottom doji that shifted the market. The market went from a downward structure to an upper structure, right? And if I want to grab a new one on the high, I would grab this one here. Because now we're shifting the market downward. Why is my clock freaking out? 1 second. Data coming out of 10. What's coming out of 10? Oh yeah, smaller data. We have business inventories and the housing index. Exactly, eBay. Exactly. So the main problem with rebound trades is it a sweep or is it not a sweep? And that's the reason I started doing the rebound trades is because it is a sweep failing, right? So normally we would want to take a sweep trade. If you start sweeping the high, we take it bearishly. But what happens if that sweep trade doesn't work? What do we do then? So then it turns into a rebound trade because the sweep is not working. It's like I talked about before when I was going over like all my playbook setups and whatnot. They all kind of tie together in a certain way. If one pattern's not working, it means that there's another pattern happening. Or they're like both happening at the same time and they're helping each other. Hopefully you guys watched our Monday stream because that was a very good trade on the Momo and the OTS. That was a beautiful trade right out of the open. You had a bottom pivot, bull div, purple shading, same thing, bottom pivot, bull div, purple shading on the prior bottom, but then you created a bull div. So technically there kind of is a purple shading there as well because you have that bull div. Then you flipped your trail green, and now we're just basically trailing up. Bouncing off that 30-minute trail as well. Bouncing off the 15-minute trail and the 5-minute. Breaking a pivot here. A little bit of a bear div on the 5-minute. Momentum very weak on this new high. Yes, you could call that a trap on the 1-minute. The 1-minute on the Momo is trapping the sellers. They pulled back into the trail, and now the momentum is shifting back up. I think that Monday stream helped you guys a lot. It seems like a lot of you guys are finding these patterns on the indicators a lot better. We'll do it again next Monday. We'll have another Momo Monday. But yes, that is a bear trap. It's a good example of a bear trap there. So you pulled back into the trail. Momentum is pretty much still looking for a top on the trend. And then the sorry, my music is blasting in my ear. All right, that should be better. Sorry, I couldn't hear myself think. Bounced off the trail, had that cupping pattern. Look for the prior high, right? What am I listening to? I just listen to like different lo-fi or like techno or like just random mixes on YouTube. I kind of just let it do its thing, to be honest. Just random like no vocal background music. No, Gunk. In the alerts, the trend is the trail. The pivots should say pivots, I'm pretty sure. Do they not say pivots in the alerts? Let me see. I haven't looked at the alerts in a long time. Yeah, they say pivots. It says pivot high, pivot low. They keep putting in these top heavy candles. They're protecting these upper nodes. They hold below this node at 21, looking pretty weak. This is that bear dip on the 5-minute we talked about. I mean, you can see how powerful just marking out these dojis has been today. We marked out that prior one, created a bounce. We marked out this one here, gave you a beautiful target. Also damn near became the high. Now we're marking out this one, becoming the top. The one that we marked out prior became the bottom there, damn near to the tick. Like, it shows you that just a very simple system like that gives you very strong levels. Okay, here's that top heavy node being pushed down now. Did I don't think I did. I did not. I forgot to post the stream alerts. Let me do that now. It's good that I do that so you guys can have a backlog of my streams because I don't leave them up on my YouTube at all times. All right, turning into a vertical distribution here. Keep an eye on the trails. Keep an eye on the 24 EMAs. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, Christopher, if you're talking about like not trading around the open. I think not trading for like the first 15 minutes for the most part is typically good. On days like today where it gives you a really good trade at the open, you probably want to still take it. But a lot of days where it's just kind of chopping out, there's no real direction, there's no significant levels being tested, anything like that, you probably want to wait like 10 to 15 minutes. But you don't want to always wait. Like, you don't want to have it like set in stone because today you would have missed a really good trade. Pretty much everything lined up on that buy for today. Yeah, if there's like data coming out at 9:45, we're just kind of chopping around the POC. We're not around VWAP. We're not around the extremes. You probably don't want to be taking trades right away. It's also coming down to that mentality of, oh, I always need to be in a trade. So I think people think that like, oh, the market's open, I got to trade right now. So you don't want to do that. Trent, they're actually still on YouTube. You just can't see them on YouTube. So a way to find them is go to my Twitter or go, if you're in my Discord, there is a stream alerts channel. If you're not in Discord, go to my Twitter. I try to post a link every day. There are some streams that I forgot to post. So there might be a couple missing. But for the most part, I post an alert every single day, so you should be able to find every stream for the most part in one of those two places. I don't delete the live streams. I just take them down from like the home page because there would be over 1,000 of them on my channel, and I don't need my channel to have 1,200 videos. This is a vertical distribution, so it is giving you short signals. Are they going to work is the question. If this one fails here, this bear div, it's a pretty obvious bear div on the high. If this one bounces off the 24 and fails, it's a very clear vertical distribution. We kind of already knew that since it bounced off the 24 right here, but we'll see if this one fails. This one's giving you a sweep, it's giving you a bear div. It's a pretty damn good short signal. So it should work. If it doesn't, and it bounces off the 24 here, then you need to be very careful from that point on taking any shorts. It looks like it is kind of working on NASDAQ. The obvious target for any shorts would be VWAP, around 15 to 09. The easiest way to find out if it's a very strong uptrend or if it's a vertical distribution, which is a weaker uptrend, is how many short signals is it giving you and are they working, right? If you're a very strong uptrend, it should not be giving you short signals. It's just going to keep ripping up. If it's a vertical distribution, it will give you short signals, rollover tops, sweeps, bear divs, whatever, you name it. But then they will fail. Those short signals will fail. We're kind of seeing it right now. So this is a bearish rebound. So we just had a bearish break, and now we're instantly retesting it. So if it's bearish here, it should be selling right here. It should not go any higher. If it goes higher than like 22.50, then vertical distribution is basically confirmed. Tom, I would like them to be. I would like them to always be dojis. But they don't have to be. It can be a regular candle. I want them to be dojis because dojis are really good, like 50-50 candles. They're very good candles that show that there was like a fight going on there. Looks like we are a vertical distribution. This would have to instantly sweep for it to not be a vertical distribution. The Momo is a good way of looking at vertical distributions as well, because as we said earlier, you had that trap on the 1 minute, right? So we had this trap. So we pulled back to the trail, which was also around the 24, and then we started trapping that short-term momentum. Very common in a vertical distribution for this to keep happening, where the short-term momentum keeps coming down and then bounces, coming down, bounces. So if you don't see that longer-term momentum coming down and that short-term momentum actually holding down below zero, then it's probably a vertical distribution. A good example is kind of like over here. It's a little bit late, a little bit of a late example. It kind of was slow. But we see a bear div, bear div. So bear div, bear div. And then it starts to roll over. and then look at the momentum. You start losing, but it doesn't come back. You notice how these keep coming back? It loses it, comes back, loses it, comes back. This does not come back. This stays negative. So it stays negative and then it loses the trail. That is not a vertical distribution. That is a complete rollover. That was a beautiful trade, by the way, if you guys traded pre-market. Very nice bear div into a rollover. But yeah, that is the difference. Is the short-term momentum is not being trapped, it's actually stable. When you start to understand how to read the Momo, it's really going to start clicking because you'll start seeing that it ties into like every single thing that I've been saying on stream for years. It ties into like every single one of my concepts. It's a little bit hard to read at first because it gives you so many signals at once. That's the point of it. It's designed to be an all-in-one oscillator, so it's designed to do what all the other oscillators do. So it's a little bit complicated, but once you start seeing the matrix on the Momo, it makes all my other concepts a lot easier. The traps, the rollover tops, the bear divs, the potential tops, potential bottoms. Okay, so it is looking pretty weak. If it can hold below this 24, doesn't quite look like a vertical distribution anymore. If it holds below that trail, holds below that 24. So unfortunately, it did take a long time for that to go down. So your target at VWAP has come up a bit. So you kind of lost some target there. Second VWAP would be another target around 10 if it breaks the first VWAP. Here's your first target at VWAP being hit if you're front running it by even, like, what, 2 ticks? Can identify the rollovers happening? It already said the rollover was happening earlier when it started showing the bear div. So it already predicted that this was going to be a potential top. You had a potential top here, turned into a bear div, turned into a bear div. And now we have a bearish pinch. There's your VWAP target. Yeah, trader, I still have the Apex thing going on, so if you use the Apex code and you don't have access to the indicators, just send me an email and let me know, hey, I use your code, can I get access to the TradingView indicators? Just let me know what your TradingView name is, and I give you guys 60 days. And hopefully those will help you get funded. That's the whole idea, right? Okay, first target has been achieved. Let's see if it gets that VWAP target, the second VWAP. Good morning, Jazz. Okay, so now the 1 minute has completely lost that top. You want to start looking at the other time frames like you do with the bots, right? The rollovers. Sorry, not the rollovers, the waterfall. So now we're waterfalling into a 5 minute. The 5 minute had a bear div that we talked about earlier. So the 5 minute actually was probably a little bit better than the 1 minute here because it gave you that bear div and instantly started selling. So 5 minute bear div is confirming the 1 minute bear div. Here's the trail at 13. Then we go to a 15. 15-minute trail is 07. 30-minute trail is 02. So those are all your targets. You just take them step by step. And whichever one you want to target, you can. Here is an old 1 minute pivot at 14 being retested, and you're creating a new pivot on VWAP currently at 15. Is the trail at 24 EMA? Funny enough, it is not, but it lines up damn near perfectly. It's a completely different formula, funny enough, but they do line up very close, which is just a good confirmation that they're both a good level, right? But yeah, their formulas are not even sharing one aspect. They're completely different formulas. But yes, they do line up. Just kind of a coincidence. So that was a pretty good trade. Obviously, that the fact that it didn't turn to a vertical distribution is fantastic. Because you had a sweep, you had absorption, you had a bear div. You didn't quite have a rollover top. It was a rollover in momentum. It was not a rollover top. Okay, here's your second target. So your second target, the other VWAP, is being hit here. So as long as you continue to hold that bearish momentum, you continue to hold below these EMAs, below the trails, whatever, etc. The trails are called trails because that is kind of where the trailing momentum is, the responsive momentum. So as long as those are holding, this can continue downward. And this is why you front run levels. If you guys were using our macro target at 25, you missed that target by less than 2 points, right? So that right there is why you front run macro levels. You can see it just barely. Why are there two profiles there? There we go, okay. You can see it just barely missed that level. Do ranges or ranging patterns typically show the end of a vertical distribution? Yes, so like if you think about a vertical distribution, it's a vertical distribution, right? It goes up. It's not a horizontal distribution. So if price starts to distribute horizontally, aka range-wise, range-bound, then that vertical distribution is kind of rolling over. The momentum is rolling from vertical to horizontal. And then if you want to like quantify that with the candles, what are the candles doing? The candles would be losing the 24 EMA, which is now flattening out. Then it would be putting in a lower high, lower low. This is an extremely aggressive break of a vertical distribution, so you didn't quite have that lower high, you just kind of nuked. So you broke the 24, you put in a lower low very obviously, didn't quite give you the lower high, which is why it was not a rollover top. You can kind of say that's a lower high, but we really haven't established an obvious lower high. You're still kind of looking for a low. Okay, let's clean up all of our doji levels here. They've all been used, except for this lower one. And then we'll create a new one here. So I'm not marking out the do not care zone anymore because you guys get the idea. If it's not in one of these boxes, I don't care. I'm not quite sure what you're asking, eBay. Are you asking, like, why is it called a vertical distribution? What's your question? Clarify your question a little bit. By the way, that topped out so aggressively that it put in a poor high there. So honestly, if you caught this move up and the move down, you pretty much traded the same exact move twice, you're probably done for the day, to be honest. Those were two very clean trades that didn't really give you any drawdown. I wouldn't really force bad trades for the rest of the day. That was pretty much a Momo to Momo move. Now that's kind of up to the trader. A lot of traders have a mentality of like, it's like a gambler mentality. Like when they're hot, they're hot. They want to keep going. But if you're thinking about it more long term and trying to be consistent, you hit your daily goal, you exceed your daily goal in the first hour. You don't really need to keep forcing it at that point. You could probably take some smaller trades, or if you have like a really good pattern coming up. Yeah, I think it's a long-term versus short-term mentality. I think if you're like striking while it's hot and you're gonna keep trading, it's kind of more short-term. It's not always a bad thing. Hey, Christopher, enjoy your time off, man. How many points was that? That was about, yeah, that was about 15 to 20 points up, and then about, what, 6 to 10? 6 to 10 down? That's like your maximum, obviously. So you could say maybe you caught 10 on the way up, 5 to 7 on the way down. That's not bad. No, I don't trade gold very actively. I traded gold back when we were trading options. I traded gold more so with like ETFs and exact like gold companies. I don't trade GC futures really at all. Bouncing off VWAP here. This is why VWAPs are always good targets. Because they like to go against you if you're in a trade. Keep an eye on all those trails, all the trails in the 24 EMAs coming up. There probably is, Kangaroo, but I wouldn't look for any indicators like that on TradingView. TradingView is in a weird spot where people are building all these indicators for order flow and delta and whatnot, and their delta data is kind of fake. It's not real. It's not real delta data. It's like best guess delta data. So the indicators might be good, but the data is not. So it's like, what do they call it? Fruit from the poisonous tree. The tree is poisoned because the data is incorrect. So it doesn't matter how good of an indicator you build. Now, that might not be true in the future. They might get some better data. So we don't have a combo here, but you do have a nice purple shading. Purple shading on that VWAP. Trying to reclaim these pivots and that trail. Didn't completely lose the 5-minute trail. Didn't lose anything on the 30-minute as well. So looks like a short-term pullback and a longer-term uptrend. I couldn't tell you because I don't trade actively on Addis. I just use Addis for charting. So I don't do any of the like performance center, like trade journaling stuff on Addis. So I can't really tell you how their system works. From what I've heard, it's okay. I think people in the Discord have shown screenshots of it and it looked okay. And I've also never used Quantower for trade journaling like that either, so I couldn't tell you. The only ones I've used for like their performance center are Tradeovate and NinjaTrader. And they both have pretty good performance centers. NT is pretty robust. Like their performance center it's got a lot of detail. Tradeovate's more basic. Yeah, I have no complaints about Addis. Addis is probably one of the best platforms, if not the best platform that I've used for stuff like this. Pretty much every other platform, NT, Quantower, Tradeovate, pretty much any platform that I've used, ExoCharts, like for order flow, there were like little things, little issues I could find with it that were kind of pissing me off on the daily. There's not really anything that bothers me. Not knock on wood on Addis. Addis is, it's pretty clean. I'd say the one complaint, like if I had to have a complaint recently, it's like this chart here. There's not a lot of customization you can do with the footprint. There is a lot of customization. It's not to the degree of the other platforms where like you can almost fully customize it. You can make it look exactly how you want it to look. That's like the only thing I would say. Is there's a couple of small things that I would want to do to this footprint that I can't. But other than that, I literally have no complaints. It's a great platform. I mean, you guys saw it like when I switched over, what, a year or two ago. I literally switched over, used it for like an hour, and then I completely closed my, my NT. I didn't use NT again. Oh, you did try that, Gunk? You tried the orders thing? It's working? That's awesome. Yeah, that wasn't just me. That was, I forgot who said that in chat. Whoever said that in chat yesterday, I appreciate that. I remember we talked about that. We had a big discussion about that in Discord back when that happened, like a year ago. So I knew there was a way to fix that. Yeah, if you guys missed yesterday, if you're using the trade copier on Addis, you want to have it copy your orders, not your positions. If it copies your positions, it's a little bit delayed. You get a little bit of slippage. I don't know what the benefit would be of copying positions. If you guys can think of a benefit, let me know. I feel like every single scenario, copying orders is better. Like, what scenario would copying positions be better? Any ideas on props? That's a good question. That's a good question. I think it was you, Leo. Was it you, Leo, that called it out yesterday? I was gonna say Leo, but I didn't want to get it wrong. All right, little pullback here, putting in a lower high finally. Like, you can argue that like there's some lower highs here, but it's not an actual like a fractal. It's not like an actual cluster that creates a lower high. So good to have a nice lower high now. Keep seeing these top heavy candles too. Top heavy candles putting in these nodes on the highs. But yeah, Tommy, to answer your question, the only prop firm I use is Apex. Which, by the way, I do not have an exclusive agreement with Apex. I can use whoever I want. I choose to only use Apex. Here is VWAP. VWAP hit 1080. Yeah, I agree with that, James. I agree with that. The color picker is a little bit weird on Addis. Possibly a bulldog. We have half the bulldog forming. Still need the second half. All right, you guys are gonna make me crash out today. You guys are lucky I don't stream with a webcam because the faces I make sometimes when you guys when you guys ask certain questions, I can't hide my facial expressions. Yeah, it's a good point, Gunk. I don't really, like I said, I don't. There's got to be something I'm missing, but I don't see any benefit of having a copy your positions. Excuse me, compared to copying your orders. I just don't see it. The orders are better in like every single scenario in my head. Bulldog is stalling a little early here. It's not making it back to the back. Very different on NASDAQ. NASDAQ nearly high of day here. Just keep an eye on that push. If NASDAQ just starts ripping the high, then it's probably going to pull ES up. Hey, Bobby, that's awesome, man. Yeah, definitely in like this market as well. You don't want to adjust your stop too quickly because these moves are they're very like whipsawy. They whip back and forth pretty fast. Hey, music, no worries, man. I appreciate you hanging out. I know we have a lot of lurkers in the chat. Trading streams are just one of those streams that you kind of just have in the background. You listen to the person who's commentating and do what you're doing, trade or work or whatever. The copy discussion? What do you mean? Like talk about the Addis copier? I think that discussion's fine. I think that that's a good thing to bring up. I think everybody should know that. Everybody should know that the you don't want to use position copier. You want to use order copier. It's a very key thing on Addis because if you use position copier, you get a lot of slippage. So I'm glad you guys are talking about that. That wasn't what I was talking about when I was talking about crashing out. I was talking about crashing out about a lot of the questions in chat today that are very they're very answerable by yourself, or my screen is answering your question. I know my screen's a little messy. It kind of looks like the Matrix. But I promise you, if you take a look at it for like 30 seconds, it will answer a lot of your questions. I mean, it's quite literally our job, right? As traders, we are here to be detail-oriented and find the little things. I'm not sure, Bobby. I don't know how Quant Tower works with Apex. I think the only license Apex gives you is depending on which one you sign up with. If you sign up with Tradeovate, you get a Tradeovate license. If you sign up with NT, you get an NT license. Or sorry, Rhythmic. You get an NT license. It's like a very basic one. You don't get like a good one, like the full one. I don't think you get anything for Quant Tower, but I'm not sure. Yeah, music, it's come down a lot since I made the chat rule that basically says, like, don't ask me about my trades and stuff. It's been a lot better on that. I'm glad YouTube finally added that, where I could give you guys, like, little chat rules. I think the chat, for the most part, has been doing really good recently. It got a little bit hairy yesterday with all the political talk with JP and Trump, but that's gonna happen during big headlines like that. I understand. It's just, does it keep happening after the headline died down? But no, I think for the most part, chat's been really good. Yeah, that's a good shout. That's a good shout, Bobby. I probably could make like a little pop-up on stream that I could pop up every like hour or so. Just reminds people. I'm not too worried about it right now. Right now we're in our like lull phase. Like the stream has ups and downs. The stream has like, for some reason YouTube pushes my content like crazy sometimes and my stream grows really quickly. And then when I get a lot of new viewers, I kind of have to remind everybody, hey, don't do this, don't do that. But then that wave dies down and my stream goes back to normal. And right now we're in the normal phase. Like earlier we were getting 300 viewers, right? So when we're having those spikes, I have to remind people a bit more. Okay, so you could argue that that was the head of the bulldog, but that's not really a good bulldog because the head is so low. So you're still kind of waiting for a head of the bulldog around the back line. No, I haven't watched ETH recently. I have mostly been watching Bitcoin. Bear div on the Momo. What time frame? I don't see one. I see a 1 minute pinch. I see a 5 minute pinch. Almost not a pinch. It's more like just a momentum topping out. 30 minute gaining momentum. I don't see a bear div right now. Oh, on NASDAQ. Yeah, you could say that's a bear div. It's a little bit wide. There's a lot of space in between on that one. But yes, there is a bear div with a pivot. This might be the head of the bulldog. So if this pullback holds above the trail, holds above the 24 EMA, could be a bulldog playing out. What do you mean, Foreman? What ranges are you talking about? You mean like for my trade plan? Like the morning trade plan that I do? If you're referring to the trade plan, those targets are all value levels. Like 99% of them are just value levels. Value highs, value lows, EOCs, stuff like that. Most of them are untested value. It's finally a bulldog above VWAP. Yeah, you're not wrong. This is the old school bulldog, the one where you're like, you broke out, you come back to VWAP, it puts the bulldog on VWAP. Now, unfortunately, the only downside I see with this Bulldog is it's a POC trade as well. So a little bit choppy. But other than that, it does look okay. I say actually another problem is the delta. The delta's not good, and you're on the POC. Other than those variables, it does look pretty good. So it's a little bit of a choppy one. It looks like it's going to be testing that 24 very quickly, so it's going to invalidate pretty fast if it holds below like 17 to 16. Still holding for now. How do I confirm delta divs? So the big thing with delta divs is you don't really think about it like you do like normal divergence, where it's like you instantly take the trade because of a lower high or a higher low or something like that. It's more so like the overall structure. Like, is the trend of the price and the trend of the delta very different? Like, are they going against each other, right? So it's not like exactly a peak to peak, bottom to bottom type of thing. It's more so just the overall trend. So you want to look for like the fractals, the clusters of the candles. Make sure to confirm that there actually is a div there, like peak to peak, bottom, bottom. But from that point on, it's more so about the trend. Is price continuing to go up when delta's continuing to go down? And vice versa. Like right now, we would have a bear div. So we have a bear div on delta. It's not really giving you an exact trade where you're like, okay, bear div on delta, let me press the sell button. That's not really what it's doing. It's more so telling you that if you see like a rollover top up here, or you see like a, I don't know, like a top pivot or something like that, the bearish delta can squeeze you downward. It's going to provide that momentum for you to go downward. It's like fuel for the trade, right? So it's not exactly a reason to get in the trade, but it's kind of fuel for the trade. It makes the trade better. Very different structures on NASDAQ and ES here. NASDAQ more of a vertical distribution, possibly just a good uptrend, to be honest. It's holding above the ADMA a lot of the time. So our NASDAQ target at 185 was already hit earlier. Was it? That's close, very close. It was hit around this high here. So now our next target is 222. Delta spiking on the break of the high on NASDAQ. That's a good sign there. Possibly taking out some stop losses. little bit of a limit seller at 20.5 there. A lot of delta coming in there. If ES does continue, the obvious target would be the pour high into 25. I'm not sure, Kangaroo. Why would you want to use... Why would you want a delay? Oh, you're talking about like an aggregate. Like you wanted to aggregate the orders that are coming in a couple milliseconds apart together. Yes, it does do that. I believe it does that by default, I think. I thought you meant like an actual delay on just the orders. Yeah, cumulative ticks, I believe, is what that does. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it does it by default. And you can add filters and whatnot too. Okay, very strong trend on NASDAQ here. You have that fish hook pattern that we talked about on the 1 minute. So there's that fish hook. You see where it kind of like pops up and then it kind of curls out and then it flattens. So we have a pivot, curled, and then broke the pivot very easily. How's our 5 minute? 5 minutes very good, very strong momentum. You have a 15-minute pinch and 30-minute showing a trap. So 30-minute had a trap right here. You can see long-term momentum very good, short-term momentum very flat, and then it spikes up. And then you confirm the trap with the trail, gave you 4 buy signals there. Buy signals at 77, so it's already up quite a bit. Yeah, that's how I would have read it on NASDAQ. Another good signal here. Purple shading on the back test of that pivot. Beautiful bottom there. Bulldog still holding the ADMA. Very aggressive on NASDAQ. Didn't really have a Bulldog on NASDAQ. You just kind of ripped into an uptrend. But the Bulldog on ES was pretty clear. You had a bottom, popped up, bottom. You could have seen that as the head. That's a little bit dangerous for a head. And then this is the head right here. Little pullback. So either here or here was reasonable. Very strong break here, squeezing out that bear div on Delta. So this is the problem with the bear div on Delta when price is going against it. You can find these squeezes. Now, typically what I would say, there's the poor high repaired. Typically what I would say about Delta is if they're both trending against each other, like one's trending up, one's trending down, for a very long time. The longer it occurs like that, the delta typically wins. If it's more of a short-term thing and then it spikes against it, this is what happens. The delta gets squeezed out. But if it's a very slow, methodical, like bear div for like 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, really long time, the delta typically wins. Because if you think about what's happening, if it's doing it for a very long time, there is a clear buyer or a clear seller that is just holding the price up or holding the price down, or at least trying to. So if you think about if this happened for like 2 hours and price just kept going up and delta just kept going down, it's because somebody is trying to hold it down. Somebody's continuously selling. Or you could say they're profit taking. Doesn't really matter. But as long as that keeps happening, the delta is probably going to win. Now, today is not the case. We are spiking out of that very aggressively. The bear div only happened for about 20 to 30 minutes. Hey, 2013, have a good day, man. Here is our 25 target. So you front ran this target earlier, now it's actually hitting it. Next target is 43. And here is our, actually our trade plan's done. Our trade plan on NASDAQ is done. So 25 target is hit. And then our 222 target on NASDAQ is done. So extended trade plan would be 260 to 290. We still have a target on ES 43. Have a good day, Kangaroo. If we take a look at like the multi-time frames here, let's just put this on ES for now. You have 1 minute, 5 minute. Let's put this on the 15. And that's on the 30. So you can kind of see how it's waterfalling, right? Momentum starts to spike on the 1 minute. We have that pinch. We have the trail flipping green. The 5 minute trail held the whole time. Bouncing off of it, momentum spiking. 15 minute trail is held, pivots breaking, momentum spiking. 30 minute trail is holding, pivots breaking, momentum spiking. So everything, every time frame is telling you that the uptrend is there. Now you want to watch the 1 minute for a possible flip of that, right? Do we start getting a bunch of negative momentum? Do we start seeing a bunch of top pivots? Whatever, right? Does it start waterfalling to the downside? We have no afternoon breaks recently that need to be repaired. They are all repaired. All right, let's do the same thing on NASDAQ. Let me go ahead and make this a symbol lock. The same thing on NQ. Very green on the OTS. Momentum flattened out. Topped out a little bit on the 5-minute. Topped out a little bit on the 15. And you still have a little bit more room to climb on the 30. The trails are beautiful on NASDAQ. Very trendy. Respected on the 1-minute. Respected on the 5-minute buy signals. Respected on the 15. Respected on the 30. So very trendy. That's one way to look at if you're in like a D-shaped balance or like a D-shaped rotational day. These trails will keep flipping back and forth and they won't be respected. You'll just kind of keep breaking through them. Did we have like a D-shaped day recently that I could show you an example? Maybe Friday? Oh yeah, here you go. So you see on Friday, this is pre-market, so it's not the best example. But you see how the trail just keeps like flattening out and flipping? So it flattens out and it flips. Let me full screen that. So that's what it looks like on a D-shaped day. It kind of flattens out and flips. And what you want to watch for when it's doing that, which I did talk about on Friday, Friday was a great example, is the shading. So like when you have a flat trail and you just keep flipping back and forth, very strong on the shading. The shading is very good at finding those mean reversions. And then we turn into a trend day, so it kind of lost that. But yeah, that's one thing to keep an eye on. Little tip there. No, not really. I don't look at the weekly profiles too much anymore. The market's just been so fast and it's just changing directions with the intraday candles, like the 30-minute candles, so much that I'm better off just watching day by day, watching the profiles Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like taking the individual profiles, not the full profile. I have been looking at composites recently, where I'll draw like a big composite of like the range. Like what we could have done, where's my chart here? Like what you could do right now, we have such a wide range. Like if you want to take a giant composite, you could take a big distribution composite here. So we're starting to look pretty damn bullish because we're breaking away from this POC and we back tested it. So we back tested that POC and now we're breaking away. So if they can stay above, like, it was 6,300. That was the level I was saying earlier. It's kind of moved up to like 6,310. So if we can stay above 6,310, looking pretty damn good. Hey, Bill, I appreciate you watching, man. If you're in a paid account or an evaluation account, if you are not in a real account, you are technically in a simulator. So typically with simulators, you're not going to get filled on the exact tick until that tick has been broken. That's just how most simulators operate. It basically is like it's like first in, first out, and it's pretending that you're the last person on the level. Yeah, I was just about to say that. It doesn't work like that on the other side though. On stops, it will stop you out like damn near instantly. Yeah, unfortunately, that is just how vast majority of simulators operate. But that's a big reason why I front run levels. Well, it's not really to do with the simulator stuff, but just in general, in trading, you should front run levels because you do not want to get stuck to the tick. It's called being a dick for a tick, right? You don't want to have your target directly on VWAP and then it comes down to VWAP. Like, actually, here's a good example right here. Well, not actually, no, it kind of tapped it. Well, let's pretend like this candle didn't tap VWAP and this candle came down and just barely missed it by like a tick. You don't want to be that guy, right? So I typically front run levels by at least a point to like anywhere from 3 to 4 points if it's a really big level. And if it does approach my like take profit and you're just kind of stalling out, let's pretend like I had a take profit at like 27 here and you start doing this where it stalls out, I'm just going to close it. I'm not going to let a trade come back on me 5 to 10 points and I missed my target by 1 point. Chuck, we do not look for bear divs and bull divs on the trend line for that reason. The trend line is designed for that kind of fish hook pattern, so you don't really look for divs on it. You look for the divs on the histogram. Yeah, at that point, it just becomes a strategy thing. If you're a micro scalper and you're constantly missing your targets by a tick or being stopped out, whatever, you just have to adjust your trading to it, unfortunately. That just becomes a strategy thing at that point. Well, you should never allow that to happen. You should never allow something to get within a tick of your target and then come back and stop you out. That should never be an option. If something gets within a tick of your target and then comes back to break even, most of the time you're just going to be closing that break even. Is it the same for when you trail your stop loss? Do you run targets by a little? Well, no, because it depends on what you're asking. Like, let's say if I'm trailing like this low here, I'm not going to front run it with my trail because that defeats the purpose of trailing the low. So no, you can't front run with trails. The trail has to be on the opposing side of the level. You mean the other way? Yeah, I'm not sure what you're asking, to be honest. Yeah, so that wouldn't be front running it. That would just be using a proper trail. So like if this level is what you want to trail, you're not going to put your stop above it. You're going to put your stop below it. So I wouldn't call that front running. That's just that's proper. That's just the way you're supposed to be doing it. Front running is when, like, if I want to target this low, if I'm looking for a target on the downside, front running it would be putting it like here. Because I'm afraid that it's going to not break that level. So if I'm shorting and I want it to hit my target, I'm going to front run that level. But if I'm trailing it, you're not going to front run that level. If you're trailing it, you want it to be on the opposing side of the level. Yeah, so I think I actually recommended that already. I think I recommended that they add like the midpoint stuff to their market profile. It would be nice. Chuck said I meant the histogram, not the trend line. So you were saying, what were you saying again? You were talking about, oh, you're talking about how like, you're talking about like this scenario where you have a fish hook, but you also have a bear div. So yes, you are right. There is a bear div there on the short-term momentum. So how you would treat this is how you would treat any other uptrend, right? If you have an uptrend, price is going to be doing this. It's not just going to be going straight up. It's going to be going up and down. So when you see a fish hook and a bear div, the idea is you are in an uptrend, but short term probably have to come down a little bit and then go back up. And that's exactly what it does. So in that scenario, you're watching the trail, and as long as that short-term pullback that's playing out the bear div, what do I always say, right? I've been saying that if you see a bear div or a bull div, a great target is the trail. And that's exactly why I say that. Because in this scenario, if you targeted the trail, well, unfortunately in this scenario, you wouldn't have got your target. But if you did target the trail and it bounced off the trail, you would be trading that both directions. You would have a nice pullback trade into the trail and then possibly bounce off the trail for a buy trade. So that's why the trail is always a good place to target if there's a bull or a bear div. Let me see if I can find an example. Today has been very trendy, so you're not really seeing it. You see that happen when it's not a very trendy market. Kind of like this, where you have this bull div here, and then it bounces into the trail, but then it kind of chops out and goes down anyway. That's why the trail is always a good target on the bull and bear divs. So yes, you are correct that in the fishhook there is a bear div because it's telling you that the short-term momentum is bearish, but the long-term momentum is bullish. Therefore, it's going to pull back, but then it's going to go back up. And that quite literally is why the Momo is designed, right? The Momo is designed to show you both at the same time. It shows you that the short-term and the long-term have these patterns that go together, right? It's doing a multi-time frame analysis at the same time in one indicator. Trent, to go back to your question, you asked like when do you scale out and when do you just like close the trade? Well, I always scale out. Like 99% of the time I'm scaling out. So that's kind of how I manage it. I'm just always scaling out. The only exception to that is like if I'm in a trade that's going poorly, and instead of like waiting for it to come to my stop, I'm like, okay, this trade kind of sucks, I'll just close it. But yeah, I'm always scaling out. That's why I always say, like, you guys can target this, and you can target this, and you can target this, and you can trail that, right? Typically have at least two exits, possibly 3 to 4 exits. You always want to have like 1 or 2 exits that are in your favor when price is going in your direction that you want it to go. A great example is the trade earlier today, the rollover top trade, right? Or it wasn't really a rollover top, it was kind of a rollover in momentum. It was more of a bear div. But whatever. The trade there, you want to target when it's going in your favor. You want to target VWAP, right? So it's going down, you take a target. It's going down, you take a target. Then your other target is when it's going against you. So you're trailing out when it's going against you. So you have a couple targets in your favor, and then you have a target or 2 when it's going against you. Now, in hindsight, you're like, okay, why don't I just close the whole thing at VWAP? You don't know what it's going to do. You don't know that it's going to stop there at VWAP. We know that in hindsight. But this thing could have nuked. This thing could have went down like 10 more points. And if I was trailing, I would have been very happy. Now, in hindsight, yes, I would have been much happier if I just closed it at VWAP. But like I said, you don't know that at the time. So having a couple targets when it's going in your favor and a target or 2 when it's going against you, that's how I do it. We did create a single print down to 25. If you're a one entry, one exit kind of trader, if it's working, ignore what I'm about to say. If it's not working, it's because you're stressing yourself out massively. You're basically forcing yourself to be perfect. You have to have a perfect entry. You have to have a perfect exit because you're not scaling out. You're not deleveraging your position. So if you're not perfect on your exit, then you're giving up XYZ. You're giving up so much profit. And then you're pissing yourself off and you're revenge trading and whatever. You're spiraling. But even with a secondary exit, even with 2 exits, it sounds like it's worse if you're like doubling your size, right? Let's say you're trading 1 contract and now you're going to trade 2 contracts. You're doubling your size. You're like, holy shit, that's bad. I can't do that. But funny enough, for most people, I would say that's actually less stressful than trading 1 contract. Trading double your size is less stressful in that regard. I'm not saying everybody should double their size. I'm saying going from 1 contract to 2 contracts is actually less stressful because you're not forcing yourself to be perfect. You can be a little bit wrong on your first exit, and it's not a big deal. It's actually good if you're wrong on your first exit because that means that you're making more money. Who's going to cry about making more money? So yeah, I think that most people, if you're using 1 entry, 1 exit, you would benefit from having multiple exits. It takes away stress. It takes away that thought of you have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect anymore because you can take an exit and then, oh, it's going to keep going up. Let's say I take an exit here. I buy the VWAP. I take an exit here. If that was my only exit, I'm like, damn it, I've missed so much. If it's not my only exit and I have 1 more, then you're feeling pretty good. Like I said, who's going to cry about making more money? You're always going to be a little upset that like, oh, I could have just held my first contract, but you cannot predict the future. We're not robots, right? We're only human. Don't cry about making more money, right? Yeah, Typhoon, I used to say that very, very often on stream. You are much better off trading 10 micros than 1 ES. Your notional value is the same, but you can manage the position way better. The only downside is your commissions are much higher. So if you're micro scalping, if you're trading a ton of times a day, like 20, 30, 40, 50 times a day, it's going to hurt you because the commissions are much, much higher. I think it's like 3 to 4x. But other than commissions, if you're only trading a few times a day, it is much better to trade 10 micros than it is to trade 1 mini. Do I scale out exits? No, I do not. Most of the time, no. If you think about what I just said about trailing out and scaling out in your favor, that is kind of trailing out your stops as well. It's scaling out your stops, excuse me. Because you're deleveraging your position. So if I take 2 contracts and then I take 1 contract away very quickly, if I'm up 5 points or whatever, 3 points, and I take away a contract, I am deleveraging that position massively. So now I don't have to worry about it coming back to my stop loss as much as I was before because my position is cut in half or whatever it is, a third, a half, a quarter, whatever. So it's not just taking profit. It's deleveraging, downsizing, whatever you want to call it, de-stressing. There's nothing more stressful than trading one contract and having to be a sniper and having to be absolutely perfect on not only your entry, but on your exit. And by the way, I'm not talking about price here because there's nothing to talk about. This is a easy trail. You're just watching the 24, you're watching the trails. I take that back. It's not super easy on NASDAQ. NASDAQ's a bit sloppier. But ES is very easy. Yet again, seeing those levels that I'm marking out, be respected. You always like to see stuff like this because it makes you feel good that your levels they're real. I'm not just randomly marking out these levels and using some dog shit technical analysis, right? It's actually working. It's always good when the market respects what you're doing. Leaving that single print open at 25 here. No change in momentum. It's still pretty damn good. This is extremely bullish on macro because we got rid of that looming threat, that resting liquidity. We had these 4 poor lows back to back to back, and we had an untested tail there. So 5 days in a row that needed to be tested. And then you just wiped them out yesterday. So now we are very safe to climb. This is a good screenshot to take if you guys want to understand how to read multiple days of value back to back. Because these are great examples of failing higher value. You had your open, pushed up aggressively, closed aggressively. So this was pretty good, right? No, it wasn't. The next day opened up below it and then nuked it. So that's a fail. Open up, go for higher value, close. Failed higher value again, opened up here, failed again. Opened up, failed instantly. So failed higher value again. So fail, fail, fail. So then you're like, okay, what the hell are we looking for? Why does it keep failing? Poor low, resting liquidity. Poor low, resting liquidity. Poor low, resting liquidity. Poor low, resting liquidity. And then not only that, this day here, opened up, A session, untested. Opened up, A session, untested. So you had 2 days back to back, untested A sessions, untested initial balance, whatever you want to call it. Now these were tested C and D, B and C, J and K, but they're poor levels. Matching TPOs, resting liquidity below it. Now we could flip this because all of this has been fixed. So now we can flip this and say this A session is untested. So now we have an opening session that is untested. So like I said, now we are very bullish. You always want to watch for A sessions and B sessions that are untested. Like if they put in the high a day, low a day, and they're untested, that's a lot of resting liquidity. Because think about what happens in the A session and the B session. That is the 9:30 to 10:30 time frame. That's an explosion in volume. Typically the highest volume of the day. So when you have the highest volume of the day going untested, there's probably something going on there. So here's some good examples of them being untested. Untested, close very strong, opens above it. This is respecting the value, pushes up. Open, untested, closes strong, opens above it. You see the difference? You see the difference in accepted value versus disrespected value, right? Failed value. We opened up, we closed aggressively. If this was bullish, we'd open up here or here and push higher. But we didn't. We opened up down here. So all of this value is bad. Look at the difference yet again. Opened up, closed, opened up. So we are opening and retesting prior values. So we're bullish. Sorry, I don't know how the hell I got into this long rant about value, but there you go. That's a crash course on how you read multi-days worth of value. If you want a more written form of that, just read Dalton's Mind Over Markets book. He talks about that. There's an entire chapter on like the different forms of opening above and below and inside of value. It's page 73 to 74 to be exact. The opening's relationship, excuse me, to the previous, page 74. But all right, I think I just dumped a lot of information on you guys, so we're going to call it a stream there. I think it's a good place to end it. Keep an eye on this trend, a very stable trend here. Watch the trails, watch the 24 EMA, watch the 8 EMA. Very trendy day here. Keep an eye on the 30-minute lows. 30-minute lows being protected, I believe, the entire day. Yeah, the entire day. We have not lost a 30-minute low. So I color-coded these candles to make this more obvious. When they are yellow, it is because we are breaking the prior high. When they're purple, they're breaking the prior low. When they're teal, they're breaking both. So if we're looking for lows being protected, we want to see yellow or teal. So low, 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 they're all protected, every single one. And also every single candle today has taken out the prior high. Every single candle. That is not something you want to be shorting, really. Now, we had one good short today, and that was because it was before this started happening. That was before this trend got very strong. But all right, guys, I think I gave you enough information today. We're going to call it. Appreciate being here. I'll be streaming in Discord the rest of the day. If you're not in Discord, I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time as always. I'll try to be on time. I'll try not to stay up till 2 a.m. coding anymore. If you guys want to support the channel, you can use code BREW on Apex, BREW. I believe it's 80% off still. If not, it's 50% off. You can also check out Addis. There's a free trial down below. If you want an extended free trial, I think the basic one's like 7 days or something. I can get you guys a 30-day free trial. Just sign up using that link. Send me an email. Hey, just say, hey, I signed up. Here's my email. Could I get an extended trial? And I will get you guys a better trial. I did see you guys respond. If you guys won the raffle, I did see you respond. I'm going to get back to you guys later today. So you should see that. But all right, everybody. Appreciate you being here. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.